Dr. Holden. You said you had to see me. What was so urgent?
Hi, Dr. Doyle. I'm glad that you could fit me into your hectic schedule today. I'm having a problem at work.
What kind of problem is it? Holding your life in my hands enterprises? Not working for you?
No, it's not that. I'm just taking really long shifts, around 18 hours now, and I'm falling asleep in the OR.
Oh, I understand. Well, I think I have a thing just for you. It's called Modafinil.
What's Modafinil?
Modafinil is packaged by the company Provigil and is a fat-soluble drug, which, as you know, means you will have to eat before or directly after taking the medication. Modafinil is typically used for narcolepsy, military missions, or work shift sleep disorders.
Doc, we're on the same playing field. I don't think you have to explain all of this to me. Just give me the medication.
I understand, but for me to avoid getting sued for medical malpractice, I have to inform you about what this drug is. Do you have any heart, liver, or kidney problems?
No, I do not.
Excellent! Do you have any recent medical history that includes depression, mania, or suicidal thoughts?
No.
Okay, good! This is what Modafinil looks like.
The history of modafinil begins with the development of a stimulant drug called adrafinil, which was used to treat narcolepsy and other sleep disorders. Adrafinil, which was developed in the 1970s by Lafon Laboratories in France, was considered to be superior to amphetamines because it did not produce side effects such as anxiety and repetitive behavior. It also did not appear to be addictive. The precursor to the drug modafinil, adrafinil, takes a long time to work after it is ingested, and it also causes an overload on the liver. This is because the body has to metabolize it to produce a new substance, which is modafinil. This new substance acts as a stimulant. Lafon Laboratories marketed this metabolite as a different drug, which we know as modafinil. Because modafinil doesn't have to be broken down into another substance before it has an effect, it's faster acting, more bioavailable, and less likely to contribute to liver damage than adrafinil.
Modafinil has weight-promoting actions similar to sympathomimetic agents like amphetamine, although the pharmacologic profiles are not the same. Also, modafinil has weak to negligible interactions with serotonin, dopamine, GABA, and melatonin receptors. This reduces the amount of dependency on the drug. The half-life of modafinil after about 2 weeks of dosage is about 15 hours. Here, watch this video on how much sleep the human body needs.
Tired? We all know the feeling. Irritable, groggy, and exceptionally lazy. Chances are you didn't sleep enough last night, or the past few nights. But what exactly is enough sleep? And more importantly, can you ever catch up on it? While the very function of sleep is still debated by scientists, we do know that it's necessary to function efficiently and productively. After all, we spend 24 years of our lifetime sleeping, it had better be important. Researchers have tested how much is required each night by assigning groups of people to 4, 6, and 8 hours of sleep over extended periods of time. After 14 days, those with 8 hours of sleep exhibited few attention lapses or cognitive issues. However, those with 6 or 4 hours of sleep showed a steady decline. In fact, after only 2 weeks, the 6-hour group showed a similar reaction time to a person with a blood alcohol concentration of 0.1%, which is considered legally drunk. The 4-hour sleepers suffered even more, occasionally falling asleep during their cognitive tests. In both groups, brain function decreased day by day almost linearly with no sign of leveling off. Scientists have dubbed this cumulative effect as sleep debt. So can we recover from it? After a night or two of little sleep, studies show that the body and brain can fully recover with a few nights of good sleep. However, with long-term sleep deprivation on the scale of weeks to months, the recovery of cognitive function is much slower, requiring many more nights of quality sleep. On the timescale of months to years, it's unknown whether brain function can be fully repaired or if it causes permanent damage. Paradoxically, with chronic sleep deprivation, your sleepiness or how tired you feel does eventually level off, meaning that you become less and less aware of your objective impairment over time. So how long should you sleep? Most studies tend to show that 7 to 8 hours of sleep is the average ideal for humans. Apart from the cognitive issues, individuals who consistently sleep less than 7 hours a night have an increased risk of heart disease, obesity, and diabetes, not to mention a 12% higher risk of death. On the flip side, studies have shown that while sleeping more than 8 hours does not impair brain function, it also carries an increased risk of heart disease, obesity, and diabetes, and a 30% increased risk of mortality. So, too much sleep may also be a bad thing. But variation most certainly exists, and our genetics play a large role. In fact, individuals genuinely unaffected by only 6 hours of sleep were found to have a mutation of a specific gene. When scientists genetically engineered mice to express this gene, they were able to stay awake for an extra 1.2 hours than normal mice. It turns out these short sleepers have more biologically intense sleep sessions than the average person. Ultimately, while it's important to know the ideal average of 7 to 8 hours exists, let your body and brain help you figure out its own needs.
Increased wakefulness and alertness, their effects are not entirely the same. While both increase dopamine levels, you won't feel depressed after a dose of modafinil wears off as you would when coming off a high from other amphetamines. This could be because modafinil has a weaker effect on dopamine receptors than amphetamines do. The effect of modafinil on the dopamine receptors is actually so low that its effect is often negligible. Modafinil also differs from amphetamines in that modafinil does not create sleep debt. When your amphetamine dose wears off, you crash, making up for your missed sleep by sleeping many more hours than normal. When a modafinil dose wears off, however, you sleep as long as you usually would, probably around 7 or 8 hours with no cognitive disorders.
Modafinil can help you power through the fatigue that most people will notice with only 4 to 6 hours of sleep. You should only take modafinil when you feel it is completely necessary, though. If it is used appropriately, you will not notice the effects of sleep debt that most people not using modafinil would have. Most dosages are 200 milligrams, but depending on how you feel after 2 weeks, we can heighten the drug to 600 milligrams. Also, you should not worry about overdosage since you must have to take 4,000 milligrams or about 20 capsules to have acute overdosage. These 200 milligram capsules are to be taken 1 hour before your work shift starts. Don't be surprised if you stay up for about 37 hours from the first dosage, but after a week, you should be able to stay up for around 18 to 20 hours with little to no fatigue. You will want to store the medication away from heat, moisture, and light. Do not keep it in the bathroom. You will want to keep modafinil out of the reach of children or any pets. Until you get your prescription filled, try this Monster Energy to get you through the day. And remember, Dr. Holden, unleash the beast.